From the Ford Center in Evansville, Indiana, Aetna proudly presents the Missouri Valley Conference Men's Basketball Game of the Week on the Valley on ESPN3 as the Evansville Purple Aces entertain the Illinois State Redbirds. We welcome you to our telecast with the 2008 Larry Bird Trophy recipient, Adam Emenecker. I'm Tom Ackerman, and Adam, the Illinois State Redbirds, the class of the league right now at 9-0, off to a terrific start.
Yeah, no kidding. Won 10 in a row and 5 in a row on the road. We're talking about the team that has the third best field goal percentage defense in the entire NCAA. They're on pace to set a record in the conference. Best in MVC history. This Illinois State team can really get out and defend.
Let's take a look at the starting lineups. A presentation of Casey's General Store. Right now at Casey's General Store, get a large or medium pepperoni pizza for only $10. Casey's, famous for pizza. Illinois State loaded with talent. Deontay Hawkins, perhaps the Valley Player of the Year thus far. Paris Lee, DJ Clayton, the guards, along with Tony Wills and Phil Fain at forward. Mikhail McIntosh still dealing with some knee issues. For Evansville, Jalen Brown, one of the best scorers in the league at the top right now, along with Ryan Taylor, Christian Benson, and Dwayne Gibson. The four-guard offense for Marty Simmons and David Howard, who can flat-out play inside. Adam, your keys to the game, a production of the Hilton Garden Inn Evansville, the preferred hotel of the Missouri Valley Conference in southern Indiana.
Yeah, for this Illinois State team, they just really have to keep it rolling. We talked about that 9-0 start in conference. They're going to be the ones that everybody's targeting. It can be hard to win on the road the second time through the conference. They got to keep that momentum going and stay focused. For Evansville, they really have to pound the backboards. In conference play, they're at a -5 rebound per game clip. With an Illinois State team that can really attack the basket, 6'3" guys, 6'7" and above, really trying to rebound. This Evansville team really has to check out and clear the defensive boards.
Jalen Brown averaging 20.6 per game in the last 9 games. This 9-0 start, Illinois State has been able to hold the leading scorer down 5 points below his average. Wow. It's tremendous. What an incredible effort by the third best defense statistically in the country. Dan Muller, the coach, 5th season. He was a great player himself. He went to 2 MVC tournaments and won them as a guard for the Illinois State Redbirds. You want to talk about great coaches and great players. Marty Simmons was just that, and we'll hear from him in just a bit. We'll also hear from the coaches at halftime with Adam Emenecker. We are underway. Valley basketball here on ESPN3. And Illinois State controlling, wearing those red uniforms against the white jerseys of Evansville. And with the ball, Paris Lee, so talented at doing just that, getting to the basket, and they were able to reset as controlling things was Fain. And the 3 ball dropped in by Lee. He can do that as well, Adam.
And already now we're seeing Illinois State crashing the offensive boards, getting a second chance bucket there. Paris Lee knocking down the 3 from the outside. Something he's really improved throughout his career. Now a 45% three-point shooter in this senior season. He's only been about 30% his first 3 years, so really improved.
Every year it seems Evansville has a great scorer. Before Jalen Brown, it was Colt Ryan, and a while ago it was this man, Marty Simmons. He averaged 26 a game, one of the best in the nation his senior year. Terrific player at Evansville, and he was an absolutely legendary prep player at Lawrenceville, Illinois, playing for Ron Felling. The drive and the kick out and the 3 knocked down by Ryan Taylor. So really the progression has gone. Before Simmons, there were some great players too. But through the years, you had Colt Ryan doing his thing, and DJ Ballantyne, and now Jalen Brown, and Taylor might be the next one to be that great scorer here at Evansville.
He is. He's really been relied on as that second scorer this year. He's about 15, 16 points a game, and he struggled a little bit in conference play as teams have keyed on him, but he's got the length, the athleticism, and a really feathery touch from the outside.
Wills missed the 3, but Illinois State able to retain possession. Lee with it for the Redbirds. They will take their time and work this offense, and Evansville will do the same with their motion offense. The toss inside to Fain, and the transfer makes the play. He's an impressive talent from Western Nebraska College.
And a really nice feed that time from Paris Lee, that little pocket bounce pass underneath, and Fain, even though Gibson stepped over, and put his chest there. Fane just long enough, athletic enough to go up and finish with that left hand.
Illinois State, a team that is 9-0 in league play, a 14-point win over Wichita State at home earlier this season. And the miss there, and here comes Wills Lee. And now for Clayton, a great three-guard offense for Illinois State. They look inside. Hawkins with the bounce, and Fane tries to throw it down. Instead, he hits the hardwood and he's fouled.
And both coaches happy with that. Evansville on the backside. That's what Marty Simmons wants. He says, don't give them any easy layups. As we're going to see Fane, the nice drop step, getting up and a little bit late, rotating over, but good help that time, not giving up the easy 2 points by Taylor.
Fane, a 57% free throw shooter. He started all 21 games this season, averages just under 10 per game, and the miss there.
And 17 in his last outing against Evansville, had 4 blocks as well, so really had a big impact. And coming off his best conference game as well at 19 against Indiana State.
Evansville without their 7-foot redshirt senior Sergei Vichetic. His father killed in an automobile accident. And our thoughts and prayers to the Evansville basketball family and certainly the family of Sergei Vichetic. The turnaround and miss there by Gibson. And back the other way, Illinois State with a 2-point lead.
And one and done every time on this end for Evansville. Illinois State continues to pound the backboards.
Wills knocks it down, and Illinois State, as a whistle is called in the middle of the floor by Kip Kissinger, give 3 points to Tony Wills. So the basketball goes to Evansville, and a 5-point lead for Illinois State in the early going. Illinois State with an RPI, an adjusted RPI of 34. That's a good number coming out of the Valley. By comparison, the number 2 team in the league in terms of RPI is Wichita State at 72.
And those numbers by the end of the year can make a pretty big difference.
They absolutely would if Wichita State is able to return the favor and beat Illinois State in the next game that they play, and that'll be coming up at the Roundhouse. And each team, let's say, finishes with 1 loss, or even if they finish tied, it would go to the team with the better adjusted RPI when those ratings come out the morning after the regular season finale. That was voted on in 2016. Here's a shot missed by Taylor. Njai fighting forward with Howard, and it'll stay right here.
A good fight in there by Howard, and going back to what you were mentioning there a second ago, Tom, it's really incentive for these teams to play the best schedule they can in the non-conference, really trying to get them to schedule those really tough games. And what we've seen with the MVC, it can be difficult to get those games. You got to go on the road a lot to play those major conference teams, and have had a lot of success over the years. Evansville
with Brown, the shot clock at 15. Now Gibson back to Brown, just inside 3. Njai fighting for it, and a foul is called. So Illinois State, boy, they have size, they have speed, and they really hang their hat on defense. And so far, getting the job done, holding Evansville to just 3. A 3-pointer by Taylor, the only bucket. Evansville 1 of 5 from the floor in the early going.
And they really just smother. It's not just athleticism, but length as well. They're really quick laterally, but they have a lot of long arms. And then when you get on the inside, they have guys like Njai and Hawkins and Fane that can really impact shot selection. Coming into the game for Evansville, the freshman from right here in Evansville, Drew Smith. Also, Willie Wiley comes in, and a whistle, and back the other way as the foul goes against Illinois State and go back to Evansville. And both Smith and Wiley were guys that early in the year had to miss a few games. They got hurt, and that's really where you started to see the tide turn for this team. They played really well in the non-conference and have struggled finding their rhythm, getting guys back into the rotation, putting 40 minutes together. First foul on Illinois State, 2 team fouls on Evansville in the early going. Taylor hit a 3 earlier, goes behind the back, try to get some opening, and now back to Smith. Shot clock down to 10. And the rebound, Hawkins off the miss. In the midst of a 3-minute drought here for Evansville, having a tough time scoring and still limited to 1 shot. You see Illinois State does such a great job boxing out and then going to get the ball at its peak. And good defense on the perimeter that time by Keyshawn Evans, who had the ball in that last sequence. We have a timeout on the floor.
Illinois State doing what they do. The Redbirds by 5. 8-3 lead on Evansville in the early going. Valley basketball on ESPN3 brought to you by Aetna. Aetna invests in game-changing programs that make being healthy simpler and more convenient than ever. Get to know us at Aetna.com. With Adam Emenecker, I'm Tom Ackerman. Valley basketball on ESPN3, and so far Illinois State doing what they set out to do, play great defense, and they're up 8-3.
And they're pounding the basketball inside. They're getting second chance points, doing all the things Coach Dan Muller preaches to his team. Hard on the defensive end, get out and run, try to get easy buckets.
They have done that. Well, they're dealing with some great scores. Let's start with Evansville and actually Illinois State. Let's start with them. Deontay Hawkins has been an excellent player all season. Scoreless thus far, but you'll see a lot out of him.
It's his versatility, too. Inside, outside, he's got a feathery touch from 3. 2 double-doubles in his last 3 games as well. Deontay Hawkins can really do it all and is such a threat on the offensive end.
And Paris Lee, who can flat out do it. And then there's Ryan Taylor. He's a terrific scorer for this Evansville team, averaging 15 a game. And on the other guard position, Jalen Brown averages 20.6 a game, so they can light it up.
Yeah, and Taylor, one of those Division I transfers, came over from Ohio University and really has been a huge add for this team as Jalen Brown stepped into that main scoring role, leading the conference even in scoring. They've really needed Taylor to help bolster Jalen Brown when he's off the basketball.
Meanwhile, Keyshawn Evans drops in a 3, and now here comes Illinois State again. Paris Lee, he has Evans, back to Lee, he'll take it, and can't get it to go out of bounds. It'll, what they're going to call it, go to Illinois State. It'll stay here off the Evansville player. So Illinois State with a 3 already from Evans, from Lee, and from Wills. The guards contributing from the outside. Lee attacks, gets it to Fain, and he'll go to the free throw line on the miss.
And Coach Marty Simmons, definitely a defensive guy. One of the things I really like when you watch this Purple Aces ball club, watch the way they close out, high hands, chop their feet, but they're having a really difficult time staying in front of Paris Lee. He's small, he's quick, he's crafty with the basketball. He's been able to penetrate in and dish to a teammate. That's what earned Fain this trip to the free throw line.
4th foul on Evansville already. Fain, a 57% free throw shooter, gets some encouragement from his teammates. He is quite the player. He is extremely athletic. He's had some highlight reel dunks already this season, and he hits 1 of 2 to give Illinois State a 12-3 lead. Evansville fans urging their team as 5 minutes into the game, just 3 points. Smith falls down. Now to Wiley, and they'll reset, try to get things going here with Brown.
And this is an Illinois State team that often only goes 7 or 8 deep. Already have their 8th player has checked into the game. So even with Mikhail McIntosh on the bench, Coach Dan Muller trying to switch it up and keep the momentum going.
Brown got the rebound off his miss and then went up and had it slammed by Njai. Illinois State leads the Valley in blocks, 4.7 per game and 59th in the nation.
And you saw what he did. Njai does such a great job keeping his verticality until he makes contact with the ball. Then he brings his hands down. One of the mistakes young players make when they're trying to block shots, they swat at it too early and get foul prone, picking up too many fouls.
Whistle inside, and the foul goes against Evans for Illinois State. First one on Evans, team foul number 2. Already with 4 fouls, Evansville. And now back the other way will go. And they're going to get, that time, Evansville with the foul. That'll be Heine called, and that's number 5 on Evansville. Illinois State on a 9-0 run. And the fouls certainly aren't helping. No points in the last 4.5 minutes and 0 for their last 7 from the floor. The Evansville Purple Aces. Illinois State 9-0 in the league, and you're seeing why. Lee guarded by Brown. Comes off a screen from Njai. Very patient offensively, Dan Muller's team. And he loves to substitute and keep players fresh, too. Fain keeps the pressure on.
A really nice pass that time as Evans came off that screen. You know, Evans has been a guy that Paris Lee plays a lot of minutes. He usually has the ball in his hand, but Keyshawn Evans has done a great job stepping in that secondary facilitator role. Here you see him with a nice bounce pass around the defense. Fane doing a great job staying big, keeping his options open with that left hand. Gets the catch, goes up, and finishes at the rim.
Boy, he really sealed off Benson, didn't he? And what a great little spin on the pass, too, just to get it right to him.
Yeah, an underrated skill. The spin on the pass and getting to the right angle. Saw a great job there by Keyshawn Evans.
Illinois State leads by 11, 14-3. And the three-point shooting has been money for the Redbirds. Lee knocking one down early.
Yeah, Lee knocking down the first one, and then Wills. Wills, not a guy that shoots a high percentage, but very capable from out there, and Evans as well. So anytime this Illinois State team is knocking shots down from distance, they're very, very difficult to beat.
Illinois State shoots 38% from three-point range as a team. Best shooter, Deontay Hawkins, who has yet to fire one up. When he gets going, he is dangerous. 45% from three, averages 15 a game. Hawkins is scoreless thus far, and still Illinois State with a 14-3 lead, and that's also without Mikhail McIntosh. Wiley holds on to it with the shot clock under 10. Goes up on Njai and can't get it, and coming up with the ball is Fane.
And even though he wasn't able to finish, nice move on the inside by Wiley with the little left-handed jump hook. He was the guy that really was that third scorer for the Purple Aces early on in the year before he went down with an injury.
Open three, missed iron by Wills. Here come the Aces again, the drive, and that one is blocked. Another opportunity, and Jalen Brown with the quick bounce knocks it in, and he'll go to the line.
The stick-to-itiveness of Jalen Brown. You know, he came from a spot last year where he was in a facilitator role. He was the primary defender. Now he's thrust in this main scorer role. He has to be the highlighted player. And it's so interesting, you know, in an era of college basketball where guys are always either getting to the rim or shooting threes, Jalen Brown's kind of a mid-range player. He can get to the rim, but one of the things he does best is get to the free throw line.
And completes the three-point play. Excellent free throw shooter at 85%, and he shoots a ton of them. 155 attempts coming into today. Here's a three from Evans, goes down. Keyshawn Evans knocks it in, and Illinois State red hot from three. Now 4 of 6 from beyond the arc.
And really just too easy. Not enough rotation, not enough talk. At Evansville shoot-around today, they talked about closing out towards shooters and identifying. Have to do a better job now that Evans has made 2. Close out, don't let him get a clean look.
Tony Wills guarding Jalen Brown away from the wall. Won't let him see it. And that one goes in and out, and the rebound to Fane. Hawkins waves for the ball, has yet to score. Illinois State's leading scorer, number 23, now at the free throw line. Here's Hawkins. Try to get on the board, and that one off the side of the backboard underneath. Clayton made a move, and he was fouled.
And a nice hustle play by Clayton. He's really found a nice niche in this lineup as a slasher. He can create for his teammates. Played a really good game earlier this year against Wichita State. Had 11 points and some timely buckets. He's not a guy that's a knockdown shooter from deep, but he makes very timely cuts and really attacks the basket off the bounce.
So DJ Clayton at the free throw line, where he shoots 47%. Not a great free throw shooting team. Illinois State at 67%. Certainly they have some players that can do it, and they get the ball in their hands late in games. Clayton makes 1 of 2. Howard checks back in for Evansville for Wiley. Boy, Howard's had some really good games for this Evansville program. They're going to need every ounce of his strength today against this tough Illinois State team.
We talked about the change for Jalen Brown being in that primary scoring role. Same with Howard. Howard was a guy that backed up Agidius Miscavige's last year, who led the nation in rebounding and would play spot minutes and played some really good minutes. Now he has to play 25, 30 minutes a game. He's just had difficulty finding the consistency to really be an impact player on both ends in all those minutes.
Running that half-court offense, setting screens. Wills with the bounce inside. Good look to Fane, who throws it down. And Illinois State goes up 20-6. The #1 team in the league has thrown a haymaker early here in Evansville.
And as Illinois State continues to execute offensively, we're seeing the exact opposite on the other side. Evansville struggling. You see all the motion that they run. They really wear you out and are difficult to defend. Just now that only their second field goal out of their last 13. So this Evansville team, nice to see Jalen Brown knifing in there and getting one easy. They're going to need more of those. Quick
to the basket now. A travel goes against Clayton. And so Evansville will have to figure it out, down 20-8. Illinois State, Keyshawn Evans and the Redbirds relentless early, and Fain with the jam. The Valley on ESPN3 as Illinois State leads Evansville 20-8 in the early going here at the Ford Center in Evansville, Indiana. Our Missouri Valley Conference standings are a presentation of Purina Dog Chow, always crafted in the USA since 1926. These Redbirds, number one in the league with a 9-0 record, a 14-point win over Wichita State earlier in the regular season. The Shockers with an 8-1 record will be waiting for them in the not-too-distant future. Loyola at 6-4, getting a win at Indiana State yesterday, 81-66. Adam, they are just in front of that pack of teams at 5-5.
I'll call that Loyola team frisky. I tell you what, they can score. You got a guy like Milton Doyle who can score and distribute. I really like what Clayton Custer has done there. And, you know, when they get out and defend, they want to get up and down. But when they get out and defend, that team's really tough to beat.
We'll be together in Chicago on Saturday for their game against Southern Illinois. Looking forward to that on the Valley Network. Meanwhile, Evansville struggling with Illinois State here, but we're still early in this 12-point game. Turnover number 3 on Evansville as that one out of the reach. And Kip Kissinger will hand the ball to Tony Wills, and off we go with Illinois State building on a 20-8 lead. They've knocked down 4 threes, 4 of 6 from beyond the arc.
And you know, as a coach, when you come out of a timeout like that and you get a set play, you want to make sure your guys can go out and execute. And Coach Marty Simmons, just a big smile on his face, an exasperated sigh too after that last turnover.
The hustle play, and Howard finds himself loose under the basket. So the transition game successful there for Evansville after the turnover.
And sometimes that's what you need to get going. You just need kind of a scramble type of play. You get an easy basket on the other end. Those are the types of things. Now you see the ball go through the basket. Hopefully that can start to build a little bit of confidence to get this Evansville group back into the game.
For Evansville, that's 7 fouls. So Illinois State now in the bonus here at the 10-minute mark. 10-10 on the scoreboard here at the Ford Center. One of the great venues in the Missouri Valley Conference. Beautiful building here in downtown Evansville.
Yeah, it's the first time I've had an opportunity to be here, and this is a really great facility, really nice floor, a lot of good angles too. Great place to watch a basketball game.
Blake Shelton will be here March 16th. They have great concerts here. They play hockey here in this great arena as Paris Lee misses the front end of that 1-1.
And you know, I found out that Uber apparently started here on Wednesday.
Is that right?
So I was a couple people's first customers the last couple days.
That one's swatted away by Gibson. It'll stay with Illinois State. The hustle coming out of the timeout by Evansville defensively. Marty Simmons getting after his team, down by 10.
And a little bit of a wrinkle that you see from this Illinois State team too, that 3-quarter court pressure. Defensively, they just never let you get comfortable with the basketball.
Wills back to Lee, and they'll reset the offense. Lee lofts one up. No, Fain tried to keep it alive and went over the back.
And you see the length, though. I mean, the length and athleticism. He came from the right side of the rim, got a hand on that ball over 2 or 3 Evansville defenders. As we're going to watch it here. Watch where Fain comes from. He's right in the middle and reaches almost to the corner of the backboard. You know, people always talk about size in basketball. It's really length that makes the biggest difference. Length and lateral quickness.
Fain, a 6'9" transfer from Western Nebraska College. He's from Elk Grove, California. And Fain listed at 6'9", 200. So the ball stays on this end. Wills commits his second foul, so he'll take a seat. fan favorite in Normal, Illinois, no question. Plays with a football player's mentality. He is fun to watch.
And such a great defender, really the core of their defense out on the perimeter. Now we see Illinois State switching a little bit to a 2-3 zone. They kind of match up. You see this a lot out of under basket out of bounds situations.
What a terrific defensive fight inside. Hawkins tries to rip it away. They'll say it'll stay right here with Evansville.
And already 3 blocks for the team leading the conference, as we see here. There's just no easy shots around the rim. 2 guys get up. Hawkins and Fain get up to contest that one. David Howard's got to go a little bit quicker or use that pump fake and go through contact.
Illinois State 3rd in the nation in field goal defense as the foul is committed here. And Evansville shooting just 25% from the floor, 4 of 16 this afternoon.
And I really like that set that Marty Simmons just drew up for that under basket out of bounds play. They take that zone that Illinois State's running and try to split it and then run Benson right up the middle. Got it, stayed strong. Keyshawn Evans reached as he came over a little bit late. Those are the type of plays you need to make to get to the free throw line to really hurt this Redbird ball club.
Evansville shoots 70% from the line, but if there's one fault of Benson, it's this. Shoots 41% from the free throw line. This is the first. Knocks down that one. So it's back to a single-digit game as Illinois State, coming out of that timeout, has been unable to score on Evansville. Marty Simmons clapping his hands together. This team has dialed it up defensively. Fain had already one big dunk in this game, and here we go once again. A turnover for Illinois State as a foul is called on Hawkins.
Now we're going to take a look. They say Hawkins kind of displaces. Looks like Benson might have just kind of lost his balance. I'm not sure Hawkins goes up and catches that basketball, and it wouldn't have been a turnover anyway. But still, that hurts to have one of your star players get a foul like that early in the first half.
Smith is trapped, but he's able to find Benson, and it's back to Smith. Freshman out of Evansville. They go inside for Benson. Good move off the glass. And Christian Benson, the senior, has drawn Evansville within 7.
And how about the energy from Benson? Getting to the line on one side, drawing a foul on the other, and then finishing with the right hand in the middle of that Illinois State zone. So Benson going on a little run all by himself right here.
Lee with the miss, and the rebound grabbed as Evansville has another opportunity. Eves came into the game to give him some energy. Now Benson driving again. That one rolls off the rim, but he's fouled. Christian Benson giving Evansville some life. And the Aces on a nice little run of 7-0.
Good aggressiveness out on the perimeter by Christian Benson. What makes him a tough matchup and why he's so valuable to Marty Simmons is his versatility. So he plays at the undersized 4 position. He's only about 6'5", 6'6", but what he can do, he can put the basketball on the floor, he can switch and guard a guard, and if he needs to run to the bench and get his nose checked out and have his blood wiped up, he's really good at that too.
So some blood on the jersey, and the officials stop the game so that Benson can be attended to by the training staff, medical staff here at Evansville. Top-notch university here in Southern Indiana, hosting the Illinois State Redbirds. When a team dials it up defensively out of a timeout, it can energize certainly the team that's doing that, but can it also cause a team like Illinois State to make some mistakes, perhaps commit an offensive foul and take them out of their game mentally?
Yeah, because sometimes what it makes you do is if another team ratchets up their energy, you try a little bit hard. And sometimes that means you try too hard. So if a guy's getting physical with you, your first reaction is to give him a little bit of a nudge. If that gets to be a little bit too much, the officials might call that. It goes down the other way. Usually, officials award the aggressor. And the first aggressor, that's what Evansville's done out of these last couple minutes.
Evansville looked like it was just too easy for Illinois State in the early going. They have taken care of that issue, although Benson misses another free throw. He's 1 of 3 from the line. Benson with 3 early points and 2 rebounds for the Aces. Gets that one to go, and it's a 6-point game. Just chipping away. Evansville on an 8-0 run.
And how about Illinois State? 6 straight possessions without a bucket after that 17-3 run. Evansville doing a really good job on the defensive side, not giving up anything easy.
Clayton spins around Smith, but then loses it. And it's going to be Evansville basketball. Marty Simmons fired up on the Evansville sideline. The Aces go into the timeout down 6. Illinois State off to a terrific start, and Evansville's climbed back on an 8-0 run over the last 3 minutes to cut the lead to 6, 20-14 for the #1 team in the league, Illinois State. Today's Eagle Bank MVC Scholar Athlete of the Game is Evansville golfer Kayla Catterhenry. A senior from Newburgh, Indiana, Catterhenry finished second at the 2016 MVC Golf Championship, tying for the lowest round in the event's history with a 67. A 2-time MVC Scholar Athlete choice, Catterhenry has a 3.66 cumulative GPA in management, is a 3-time All-Conference selection, and the 2014 MVC Newcomer of the Year. The official bank of the Missouri Valley Conference, Eagle Bank, where a student's financial future begins.
And Tom, isn't that what's so fun about this conference? How many people we have like that? Great student athletes, really do a lot of great things in the community as well. Just a lot of really good stuff going on around the Missouri Valley Conference.
And they continue to stay involved with the conference and the institutions really throughout their career and life, as we see with the 2 coaches here today.
Yeah.
With Marty Simmons and Dan Muller, and there's so many cases like that. Adam Emenecker, part of our telecast. I mean, it's terrific. Howard inside with the basket and the foul. He was encouraged by Marty Simmons going into the timeout after playing some terrific defense, and responds with some offense.
And a lot of motion moving the ball around the perimeter. Then you see the nice left-handed pass. Again, we see a good angle post pass getting inside. And what Howard does, he seals with his right leg on that drop step as the ball is coming to him. That allows him to just catch and go up right through the shot blocker, the hoop, and the arm.
Howard completes the 3-point play, and suddenly it's a 3-point game, an 11-0 run for Evansville.
And what we've seen out of this Evansville team, not only good defense in this run, it forced 3 turnovers by the Illinois State Redbirds, but they're also evening up the rebounding battle now, doing a good job clearing the glass.
Crowd loves it in this great basketball state of Indiana. Fain silences them with the shot from the elbow.
And Phil Fain quietly, already 9 points, 4 rebounds, having himself quite a start.
Gibson looks for an open man. Evansville runs that motion offense. Can be tough to guard at times. Smith with the miss, loose ball. And here comes Illinois State. Lee will control it for the Redbirds. Dribbles his way out of trouble. Lee off the glass and in.
Tough.
My goodness, Paris Lee.
Jeez, and only, 5'11", 6 foot Paris Lee. It's hard, Tom, guarding a left-handed player. So many of these guys throughout your entire life, you're used to guarding right-handed players. So just that little difference helps give an edge, as we see the really nice take inside over the shot blocker, Drew Smith.
Smith answers on the other end. How about that response? Evansville not going away, down by 5.
But what Paris Lee does is he uses his lack of size, much like NFL running backs sometimes, to his advantage. He's hard to see in traffic, and then he just explodes and rises up through arms and bodies.
Finds Williams for an open look, misses iron there, tipped and out of bounds. It's going to go to Evansville. Foul is called.
Looks like they're going to get Fain reaching over the back again.
And that will, because Evansville is in the double bonus, 10th foul on the Redbirds. 2 free throws coming.
And that's the 3rd on Fain. So Fain has really been an offensive option in the first half. 9 points for the Redbirds. Now is going to have to go to the bench with 3 fouls.
3 fouls on Fain.
And really a silly one, picking it up where a guy's standing right in front of you. You're reaching over him to try to grab it. As a coach, you have to love the enthusiasm and aggressiveness on the offensive side. But that a little bit silly for Fain if you know you have 2 fouls.
Benson, this will be his 6th free throw attempt already. He's 3 for 5 and can't get that to go. So 50% on the day for Benson, and a 4-point game here in Evansville. Clayton picks up his dribble. Lee, who's already contributed 5 points, and a foul is called as Paris Lee was attacking.
And how nice for a coach to be able to say, okay, things are going against us. We need to get a good bucket or a good look. Give the ball to Paris Lee, run him off a screen and roll. He's a guy that, as his senior year has progressed and as his career has progressed, he just makes better and better decisions. And he's not a guy that turns it over at a high volume rate, especially when he's playing well. So you can trust the ball in your senior Lee's hands.
So Lee goes to the free throw line. And already 2 fouls now on Howard. 5 points for Lee going into that free throw. 6 points, 3 assists for him.
And of course, Paris Lee, the active career leader in steals in the NCAA, is a known thief on the basketball floor.
78% free throw shooter, makes them both. 6-point game at the 5:40 mark.
And now Illinois State switching to his own, trying to disrupt the rhythm offensively.
Gibson looks inside. Smith with the shot fake. 3 on the way. That one is missed. And so Evansville, with Eves on the miss, has to watch Lee attack again. Gibson cuts him off. Clayton with the drive inside. And they'll call a foul on the floor before the drive.
And that's what I mean about what Clayton brings to this team, is that cutting ability. So he comes off a down screen and the action is moving away from him. He really curls in tight and attacks the basket aggressively. Watch him here. So Njai cuts to the basket, and as Paris Lee picks up his dribble, Clayton is cutting not to shoot, but cutting to try to get into the lane. Makes a really strong cut. That's hard to defend. You have to pay attention and jump help side.
It's a 1-and-1 for Clayton, who makes the first, and will get another. 9 fouls now on Evansville. A lot of fouls called in this game. We're at the 5:18 mark, and both teams in the double bonus. Clayton able to make the lead now 8 for Illinois State. So the foul trouble, we start to look at it early on for Evansville. Brown, Heine, and Howard all with 2. And for Illinois State, Fain has 3. 2 fouls apiece for Njai, Evans, and Wills. Something to keep an eye on, as the whistles have been aplenty here in this game. 19 fouls called in the early going. Taylor. And now a foul called inside, and they're going to get Njai.
Almost prophetic on your behalf, Tom. Another foul. Looks like that might be the 3rd on Duda Njai as well. So foul trouble racking up on both sides.
That is indeed now 3 on Njai. So Njai and Fain with 3 apiece.
Traore at the line for Evansville.
Traore at the line. And Dalen Traore unable to knock that down. He's a 54% free throw shooter. They have some very good free throw shooters on this Evansville team, and some in the 50s. Taylor at 86, Brown at 85, but a number of them in the 50s. Wiley, Benson at 41. We talked about Howard shoots just 48% from the line, and Traore there at 54%. He gets 1. It's a 7-point game.
And a subtle move by Marty Simmons, taking Jaylen Brown out of the game with 2 fouls. Sees all the whistles, doesn't want his star to pick up a 3rd here in this first half.
Njai with the travel inside, playing with 3 fouls. He travels, and so back the other way it'll go, with Evansville down by 7 with the ball, 4:47.
And here comes back Jaylen Brown. Offense and defense going back and forth, trying to get him the best opportunity on the offensive side and the lowest probability of picking up a foul on D.
We could be in for one heck of an afternoon here, as Evansville has 7 points off turnovers. 6 turnovers for Illinois State, 4 for Evansville. Running the motion offense, it's Taylor, as Illinois State plays that man-to-man. Gibson finds Taylor. Shot clock at 3. Taylor needs to let it go, and he traveled, shuffled his feet on the defensive pressure.
That's a heck of a possession. That's one you take back to the film room and you just put on repeat if you're Coach Dan Muller. His team moved really well, moved on a string with each other. Help side was great. On-ball defense was great. Great closeouts. Good feet that time by the Redbirds.
See if the Redbirds can capitalize on the other end with a 7-point lead. They've led throughout. Toss inside. Hawkins finds Lee for an open three. Can't get it to go, and Evansville able to come up with the board. And the bucket.
And that time Njai with those 3 fouls had to be careful as Gibson took it into the paint. Nice finish.
Lee cut off. Hawkins with the fake. Lee thought about it. Hawkins, 45% three-point shooter, has yet to take one here today. And now the steal. The dish. Smith underneath the basket. Drew Smith. 3-point game as the freshman. Woo! Check this out.
Look at the up and under Drew Smith. The Evansville Purple Aces mounting a comeback in the first half, sticking with the Redbirds. Jaylen Brown attacking the rim. Finishes once, the nice feed to his buddy Howard underneath. It was the Christian Benjamin show for about 2 minutes, creating turnovers and the nice finish there and capping it off with a heck of an up and under finish. Drew Smith, the freshman from Evansville, with the left hand off the glass.
So the Purple Aces have knocked down 5 of their last 7 shots. In Illinois State, no buckets in the last 3 minutes, 17 seconds. Back and forth they go, and Illinois State holding on to a 3-point lead. An unblemished Valley record. Illinois State 9-0 being challenged by a team at the bottom of the standings in Evansville.
And what's been so impressive, so obviously Evansville has picked up the defensive intensity. They've been able to clear the backboards as well, but also just the balance. Sometimes this team struggles getting other guys to step up and score. We've seen Drew Smith, we've seen Howard, we've seen a number of people, Benzin getting in on the act, helping out Taylor and Brown.
Williams slices in, and a foul is called. It'll go against Evansville's Smith. State Farm halftime report. The assist you need when things go wrong, but also here to help life go right. Team up with an agent today at 800 State Farm. Our halftime report, a presentation of State Farm. At the free throw line, Williams knocks it in after the foul by Smith. He comes out to a nice hand. Drew Smith, the freshman, with a terrific finish before the break. Smith with 4 points. Williams misses the second. And so a 4-point game. Illinois State at the 3-minute mark, holding on here against these pesky Aces. Willie Wiley gets into it.
And really simple offense that time. So the Redbirds were putting so much pressure on the basketball early. Evansville couldn't get into their sets. That time just one pass to an open 7-footer. Coach Dan Muller not going to be happy with that one.
8 different Aces have scored for Evansville. Skying for the rebound and coming up with the ball is Jaylen Brown. In a 2-point game, a chance to tie. The rebound blocked by Njai. Williams the scramble. And a foul goes against Illinois State.
Evansville the first ones to the basketball now. Anytime the ball gets up on the floor, as we see Gibson flying in there, Traore follows it. A nice block by Njai, but Gibson just staying with the basketball, not letting his team give up that possession. Really good hustle for the senior.
Foul called against Williams, and now at the line missing is Gibson, the junior from Cleveland.
I was just going to say, excuse me, the junior, the 4th-year junior. Gibson, a guy that, you know, his freshman year has showed a lot of promise. Had some really, really good games, got up in the 20s a couple of times, but has struggled with knee injuries throughout his career. That's really slowed him. He's a guy that doesn't get a ton of time on the practice floor because of it, but he is an absolute gamer.
1-point game. Lee comes off the screen, Clayton the drive, the bounce to Njai, blocked! It was taken away by Wiley. Benson to Gibson, dribbles into traffic. Evansville a chance to take the lead. Wiley, and Njai grabs the rebound.
And the top of this place was ready to explode if that one would have went down.
Would have been the first lead of the game for Evansville. Climbing back, no field goals in the last 5 minutes for Illinois State. Clayton tries to put an end to that, and a foul called on Wiley.
And another timely cut from DJ Clayton. So the ball's on one side with Williams. He gets cut off. Clayton gets to the rack right at the right time, gets a pass, and is awarded a foul call.
At the line for the Redbirds, number 3, correction 2, DJ Clayton.
So Clayton at the line, he'll get a pair. And the foul trouble continues to pile up. Evansville 2 fouls apiece for Brown, Heine, Smith, and Howard. All something to watch early in the second half. Illinois State's been able to cash in with 8 free throws, 8 of 14. Clayton makes it a 3-point game. So Evansville can only tie or perhaps cut it to 1 here. Gibson brings it up the floor. He has 3 points, 2 rebounds. They've really spread out the scoring. Evansville with 3 different players leading with 5 points. Brown, Benson, and Howard. Wiley had it taken away. Williams gets his paw in there. Clayton driving on Wiley, and he lays it up and in. DJ Clayton makes it a 5-point advantage for Illinois State. And the Redbirds sensing an opportunity to close strong here in the first half. Gibson looks inside at Wiley. Gibson looks at him again, gets it to him. Wiley backs in on Njai, blocked away, knocked out of bounds by the big man. Njai, the 7-foot sophomore, makes his presence felt here. Wow. 5 blocks today. My goodness. What a performance. 5 blocks for Njai. That one's missed. Lee comes up with a rebound. 5-point lead for Illinois State, 40 seconds. Lee finds an open Clayton, who's had a good half but misses that 3 off the side. Here's Gibson. Has Brown on his left. Holds up. Taylor. 4-second differential approximately between the shot clock and the game clock. Evansville will hold as long as it can. Taylor back to Gibson. The bounce inside of Wiley. He'll try Njai again, and this time beats him with a quick shot over the 7-footer. Final chance for Illinois State. Lee lets it fly. In and out. And Illinois State will go to the break with just a 3-point lead after opening up an early 14-point advantage. The Aces punch back and cut it to 3. Halftime here at the Ford Center. Let's check in with Marty Simmons of Evansville. He's with Adam Emenecker. It's the Casey's General Store plans for the second half.
All right, Coach, after a rough start, a heck of a comeback for your boys. You even got you sweating out here. What'd you see?
God, I just think the effort was a lot better. Guys are hustling, making second, third, fourth efforts. That's what it's going to take for us.
And on the defensive end, really could narrow it down. We're closing out on shooters. What do you need your guys to do in the second half?
Well, I mean, you got to recognize, you got to make sure you're closing out to the guys that can make shots, the drivers. Close out a little bit short. Got to do a better job containing the penetration.
All right, good luck second half. Thanks, Coach.
Simmons and Adam Emenecker. Our chat with the coaches brought to you by Casey's General Store. Casey's, famous for pizza. Illinois State, the #1 team in the Valley at 9-0, being challenged on the road. Evansville has trimmed it to 3 as we hit halftime. Back in a moment here, the Valley on ESPN3. On ESPN3 is brought to you by Casey's General Store. Casey's, famous for pizza. We are at the Ford Center in Evansville, and Illinois State in for a fight this afternoon. The Evansville Purple Aces down by 3 at the half. After Illinois State built an early 14-point lead, the Aces chipped away, nearly took the lead. Were never able to do that, but they've been able to stay extremely close. Christian Benzin and his teammates down by just 3 here at the break, and they'll start with the basketball in the second half. Leading scorer for Evansville, Howard, Benzin, and Brown all with 3. Benzin Brown averages 20.6 per game and just 5. Again, Illinois State has been able to hold down the opponent's leading scorer below his average by an average of 5 points in this 9-game winning streak, and they're doing it again against Jaylen Brown. Aetna, the official presenting sponsor of the Valley on ESPN3, proudly brings you the second half of our MVC Game of the Week, and a stuff by Howard to get things started.
Really nice ball movement that time on the perimeter for Evansville, and Illinois State going back to that zone, trying to disrupt the Purple Aces, but Evansville continues to execute.
Illinois State 9-0 in league play, and not the only team, by the way, at the top of the standings threatened as the basket for the Redbirds on the other end, and Hawkins gets on the score sheet. They are early in the second half in Peoria. How about this? Bradley leads Wichita State 25-20 coming out of the break.
Wow, just like this game, just shows you one of the beauties of the Missouri Valley Conference. Anybody can beat anyone on a given night.
Howard comes out hot out of the locker room. Couple of buckets for him and keeps it a 1-point game. Howard with 9 points to lead not only the Aces, but the co-leader in the game with Fain. And Fain with 3 fouls for Illinois State. 3-pointer launch there by Clayton won't go.
And just good balance. I mean, that's one of the big things of having Howard score in there is the balance it creates.
Terrific drive by Jaylen Brown. He has 7 points. And once again, the crowd is into it as the Aces take the lead for the first time today.
And a really nice take by Jaylen Brown. So explosive going to the rim and can finish over people.
Lee picks up his dribble, now gets it back from Fain. Double team, finds Fain, runs into the defender, and Gibson's called for the foul.
And Gibson just a half a step late coming over there. Really nice pass on the inside there. They got Fain going to the basket quite a bit in the first half, but here we're going to take a look at Jaylen Brown attacking the big fella. So Fain picked up a couple of blocks, 5 blocks in the first half for the Redbirds. Jaylen Brown undeterred, going up strong through the contact in the finish.
First foul on Gibson. Fain now with 10 points to go along with 4 rebounds. Had to sit for the last few minutes of the first half after committing his 3rd foul. Also, Njai has 3 fouls.
You heard Dan Muller talk about foul trouble, so Fain and Njai both with 3, but Tony Wills and Keyshawn Evans each picked up 2 as well.
For Evansville, 2 fouls apiece for Brown, Howard, Heine, and Smith. Drew Smith came off the bench, had 4 big points, including a terrific up and under move underneath the bucket and scoring. Gibson holds off the fingertips of Taylor. With the shot clock at 10, Taylor guarded by Wills, looking for an open man, now wants to drive. Taylor no, and the rebound, Hawkins grabs it.
In our halftime feature, Tony Wills living up to his defensive bill and really good on the over the outstretched hand to Taylor.
Evans connects from the outside. Keyshawn Evans is 3 for 3 from 3-point range. 9 points for Evans, and Illinois State goes back up by 4.
And when they're at their best, Keyshawn Evans is a guy distributing, playmaking, and scoring off the bench. Even though he's a little undersized, don't let it fool you. He's got some pop to his step.
Great pass from Brown to Taylor, who missed the open 3. Evans with some control will take it back from Hawkins. Brown with the assignment of following him. The toss back to Hawkins. And Deontay wants a 3 and misses iron there. Crowd lets him have it as the Aces trail by 4 here at home. We're 3 minutes into the second half, and already we've had a lead change. couple of them. Illinois State being challenged, coming off a narrow win over Indiana State, another team at the bottom of the league. Brown, the baseline J, rolls in.
That's so tough. Jaylen Brown, that dribble to the baseline, because he's got such great athleticism, he can rise up over Keyshawn Evans, and Jaylen Brown, a mid-range master on that baseline.
Illinois State won by just 5 at home against Indiana State in the last game. Hawkins scores. Deontay Hawkins, their leading scorer, knocks it in, and it's a 4-point game again.
You think Coach Dan Muller had something to say about the big goose egg that Hawkins had in the first half, making a concerted effort for his team to get Hawkins the basketball in scoring spaces. 4
points for Hawkins, 2 of 4 from the floor, and a foul goes against Evans for Illinois State. That's the first foul of the half for Illinois State, the third foul on Evans. So now 3 different Redbirds with 3 fouls. Evans, Njai, and Fain. Evans going to stay in the game, though, playing with 3 fouls. Lost it, Gibson, and here comes Paris Lee for Illinois State. Clayton, that one's knocked away. And it'll be, when we come back, a tight game, a 4-point game. Illinois State on top of Evansville here at the Ford Center. Evansville and Illinois State with a 4-point lead against the 1-8 Evansville Aces. Illinois State fighting on the road against this Aces team. Marty Simmons has had his team dial it up defensively, and they've been shooting the ball a lot better in the second half. Evansville 4 of 6 from the floor coming out of the break. The NBC Fan Hangout, the perfect gathering place before and after games during Arch Madness. It's located at Ballpark Village in downtown St. Louis, just across the street from Busch Stadium. For additional information, visit archmadness.com/fans. Can't wait to see all the fans coming into town for Arch Madness. Second longest running neutral site conference tournament in the country. 27 straight years in St. Louis, 23 in a row at Scott Trade Center.
And just a really fun event, seeing all the team colors, especially that first day, Tom. I really like being there on Friday. You get to see 4 basketball games, a lot of high quality, and it's just a really fun event.
You'll see one of the best players in the league, Deontay Hawkins. He scores there to stretch the lead to 6. So Illinois State quickly reclaiming the lead after Evansville had it momentarily. Evansville had the lead for exactly 22 seconds. Brown, he'll create, do all he can to get on the scoreboard. He has 9 points. He's out there with Gibson, and this is Taylor. Benson, the 4th guard, out on the floor. Shot clock at 2 for Brown, and can't get the bounce. Lee with the rebound.
And rebounding, something Evansville's done a heck of a lot better after being -4 early after the first media timeout in this game. Now they've evened it up, 20 rebounds apiece for both these two. That's really what's helped spur this comeback.
Wills to Hawkins, has great range and shows it there. Deontay Hawkins now with 8 points.
And he's just tough in an isolation game. You get him on that elbow, he's got long arms, he can shoot over you, he can back you down, he's got a big body, or he can step back and knock down that 3.
Scoreless in the first half, Deontay Hawkins and the Redbirds with an 8. Illinois State on a 6-0 run, and Adam, it's all Deontay Hawkins.
Deontay Hawkins can do it any way you want him. You saw him the left hand there off the bounce, take the big fella off the glass. Here, the nice seal, the thunder finish off the right hand, or I can face-up game, jab step, and the cool, calm knockdown. Deontay Hawkins, everything you could want out of a score.
It's been all Hawkins, and Illinois State out of the timeout. They'll send him back out on the floor and go with the hot hand. Number 23 gets the assignment. Fain is out there with Williams and Evans. And Tony Wills, that's the lineup for Illinois State. Benson, Gibson, Brown, Taylor, and Wiley out there for Evansville. These two coaches do a lot of substitutions. Dan Muller says he's a big hockey fan, loves the Chicago Blackhawks. Says maybe that's where I got it. He loves those wholesale substitutions as Hawkins rips down the rebound. That's number 5 for him to go along with 8 points. Suddenly he's third on the team in scoring after being held scoreless in the first half.
That happens quickly, doesn't it?
Sure does. Wills with it for Illinois State. Now Hawkins finds Evans. Keyshawn with the drive and score. And now 11 points for Keyshawn Evans.
And for Hawkins, it's not just his scoring that makes that so dangerous. Now he gets the ball on the block. He attracts a lot of attention. That's going to open up his teammates, and he's a willing passer. That time, the nice skip pass to Evans.
An 8-0 run for Illinois State. Evansville's been scoreless in the last 2.5 minutes. Hawkins can't keep control of it. It'll stay with the Aces, but suddenly a 10-point lead. After the Aces had taken a brief 1-point advantage, it has been all Illinois State here early in the second half. By the way, keeping an eye on things in Peoria, Wichita State has jumped out to a 2-point lead. Still midway through the second half there, around the same time as we are. About 14 minutes to go, up by 2. Brown with the miss. Foul, and we'll go back the other way.
It looks like they got Wiley, kind of had his hand in Fain's back as Fain went up to grab that defensive rebound. And now Evansville struggling a little bit. Their shots are more contested. That time Jalen Brown off the inbounds play had a hand in his face that we didn't see towards the end of the first half.
Second foul on Wiley, team foul number 2 this half for Evansville. Illinois State with 1 foul, and now an offensive foul is called against Hawkins. Puts his arm up there, wrapped it around the defender. So that's number 2 on Illinois State. Hawkins whistled for his second foul. He'll come out of the game. You wouldn't think for long. Njai is back in there. Njai is playing with 3 fouls. 3 fouls also for Fain and Keyshawn Evans. Evans is in the game, and so is Fain.
You know, Tom, you talked about Illinois State building this 10-point margin here. If you look at the end of the first half, they only scored on 3 of their last 10 trips. In the second half so far, now 7 out of 10 early on, so much more efficient on the offensive end.
Brown with the attack from the baseline and gets the bucket.
Brown, the good explosiveness to the bucket, finishing with the right hand. You know, they always tell you, especially for all the young fellas out there, if you're going to play against a shot blocker, you can't fade away. You can't try to change your game. You have to attack right at them. That's what Jalen Brown did there.
I'm not sure anybody, as a foul is called against Jalen Brown, I'm not sure anybody explodes off the floor better in the league than him.
Yes.
I mean, he is incredibly quick in his bounce.
Especially as a 2-feet jumper. We've seen him a couple of times explode for big dunks, both in transition and in the half-court set. And we see him pick up his 3rd foul here. That could be big for Coach Marty Simmons.
Brown nearly commits another one there as he bumps Lee, who, oh, what a circus shot by Paris Lee. Goodness, we've had a couple of those here today. And Illinois State goes back up by 10.
And I'm standing over here. I was thinking Paris Lee was passing that basketball around the back of the Evansville defender. All of a sudden, the ball's floating up with the right-handed finish. So we take a look at it here. Paris Lee, you mentioned it, could have maybe been a foul on Brown right off that screen. But watch the up and under the hands of Wiley and the right-hand finish for Paris Lee. Beautiful.
And trouble now for Evansville as the 4th foul is called on Jalen Brown. Underneath the fight. Oh, another block by Njai. Eves tries to find Wiley again, and this time it's taken away. Lee, he has Wills, looks for him. Now driving in, and Wills lost it. The fight inside, and a whistle inside, and Evansville, as a timeout is called on the floor, has a 10-point deficit.
And now we're starting to... So we see the nice play for Paris Lee. Dive into the bucket. The right-hand finish off the glass for the Redbird. Illinois State with the 10-point lead here in Evansville, Indiana, and it's been Keyshawn Evans. I promise you, this is not the same replay over and over. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times from distance, and we see the nice take knifing through the lane. 11 points for Keyshawn Evans in this one, but he just picked up his 4th foul with about 12 and a half minutes to go, relegated to the bench for Coach Dan Muller.
So Dan Muller has some work to do with 4 fouls on Evans, 3 apiece on Njai and Fain. Foul trouble for Evansville. Jalen Brown has 3, 2 apiece for Smith, Wiley, Howard, and Heine. And so Evansville comes out of the timeout with Jalen Brown out on the floor, along with Eves, Howard, Smith, and Heine. As Drew Smith back into the game, will bring it up the floor for the Aces against this very good Illinois State team, which has expanded the lead to 10.
And always a good test of a coach. What do they draw up out of a timeout, trying to get their best player a shot?
Brown knocks it down. Jalen Brown now with 13.
And check one up for Coach Marty Simmons. Got that double screen on the baseline for Jalen Brown. Really comfortable in that 15 to 17 foot range. You see the Purple Aces in a little bit of a 2-3 zone.
Wills finds an opening. Rebound to Heine. And a chance to chop into this 8-point lead.
And this Illinois State team shooting 70% before that miss so far in the second half. So Evansville trying to keep them away from the basket.
Foul that time by Njai, and that is his 4th.
The foul, the Redbirds.
The Grand Hall at Union Station in downtown St. Louis comes to life with a spectacular indoor light show every night. When making plans to attend Arch Madness, visit grandhall-stl.com for details.
And that was the 4th foul on Njai. So the second Redbird on the bench now with 4 fouls. Njai and Evans.
Eves will take one. Brown tried to control it, went out of bounds off his hand, and it goes to Illinois State, 8-point lead with 11:05 to go. Howard has been active today, and they've needed him. 9 points, but surprisingly no rebounds for Howard.
Oh, he's had his hand on a number of balls. I'm surprised to see that as well, Tom.
Evansville out rebounding Illinois State by 1, 24-23. There's the rebound for Howard.
Johnny on the spot. He was waiting for you.
All he had to do was ask for it. Eves with the lay-in. Javion Eves cuts it to 6.
And really good patience by Eves that time in transition, taking the bump and going up strong.
Lee with a toss inside to Fain, who gets fouled by Howard, and the bucket goes down.
The length of Fain inside. Nice hands, nice catch on the move, and then a little up and under. You know, I love to see big guys, how they use that rim as protection from shot blockers. So Howard jumps on one side, he goes to the other. Natural left-hand finisher Fain, good up and under, underneath the rim.
Foul called on Howard is his 3rd. So now Jalen Brown with 3 and Howard with 3 for Evansville is the 3-point play by Fain. And it's back to a 9-point advantage. Illinois State shooting 53% for the game. 62% this half. And that has been the difference. Eves with the drive, and the floater goes in.
And back-to-back buckets now for Eves, getting a little bit of confidence on the offensive end. Evansville needed a little scoring. Comes from an unusual source for Eves. Only averages 3 points per game on the season.
Nice looking freshman though. Eves, Drew Smith, they have some good freshmen here. Marty Simmons. The drive, no. Scramble. Fain able to come up with it, and Howard rips it away. Now Jalen Brown working on 11 points. Well under his average of 20.6, guarded by Wills. Smith on the baseline slips and falls and stepped out of bounds. It'll be Illinois State ball.
Smith wanted to foul there. It looks like the official got him for stepping on the baseline. We take a look at it here. Yeah, as he gets on that foot of Fain, not a lot of body contact quite yet, and just brushes that line. Good call by the official.
And a sigh of relief on the Illinois State bench. Fain with 3 fouls. They don't want to get another one with 4 fouls. They already have Evans and Njai in foul trouble with 4. This is Lee for 3. And Smith able to grab a big rebound. 7-point game. Evansville calmly goes into its offense. Eves and Smith out there, both freshmen. Slipping again, this time Brown. Look at Jalen Brown running without the ball. Trying to get open. Eves with an open 3. Can't get it to fall, and Fain grabs the board.
And boy, that one halfway down would have been a big boost for this Evansville ball club. The crowd was waiting to erupt.
Fain with the jam off the dish from Clayton. And just like that, it's 9 again.
And Tom, isn't it funny how those little plays within a game make such a difference? Eves makes that 3. Evansville, the crowd's getting into it. They get down and have a lot of energy on the defensive end. Maybe don't give that one up. Instead, now we're seeing the tide start to shift to Illinois State.
The battle, Brown won it against Wills, then got it to Howard, who was fouled inside. So Howard will go to the line with 8:23 to go and a 9-point lead for Illinois State. Big free throws coming for Howard, who hit his only attempt earlier.
And a really nice hustle play that time by Jalen Brown. Actually kind of fortunate to get that basketball back after Illinois State captured their 8th block on his jump shot there. Stayed with it, stuck with the basketball, grabbed it strong with 2 hands and attacked the rim. That's what allowed Howard the opportunity here at the free throw line.
Howard misses, however, his first. Howard is a 48% free throw shooter. Fain comes out of the game. And Illinois State is hanging on, up by 9, now 8. Marty Simmons calls out his defense. And here they go up against this Illinois State offense. This Illinois State team won't run you off the floor. They don't play fast pace. They just beat you down.
Grinders. They grind it out on the defensive side, and they have guys like Hawkins and Paris Lee and usually Mikhail McIntosh that hit big shots in big moments.
Lee tries to drive, finds Williams. The 3-ball won't go for Williams. Now it's tipped. Eves can't get it. Clayton does. It's tied up, and it'll stay right here.
Great hustle by both teams.
Possession arrow to Illinois State. Up by 8 on the road at Evansville. The Valley on ESPN3. If the Aces are going to get back in this game, they're going to need Jalen Brown.
And Jalen Brown has done it. The variety of ways he can score, the explosiveness off the dribble, the mid-range game, and, you know, to see the progression that he's made this year and throughout his career. So this is a guy, you go back to his freshman year, Tom, averaged about 3.5 points per game. He's doubled that almost every year. Now he's the leading scorer in the conference, top 30 in the NCAA. He's had over 20 points 10 times this year. Jalen Brown, just a consummate scorer for the Purple Aces.
11 points here today. He averages 20.6, and once again, Illinois State shutting down a team's top scorer. They've done it each and every time. Most recently, Brenton Scott, a scoring machine, averages 18 a game. He scored 15. They had Darryl Brown of Bradley, who came in averaging about 13 a game, scoring just 6. Brenton Scott, the last time he played him, before that, 19 a game, he scored 12. That's what they do. Jalen Brown, the last time he played Evansville, was averaging 21.5 and scored 17 in that game. This Illinois State team will identify the top scorer and lock them down.
And of those 17, had 11 from the free throw line, so only 3 field goals in that game for Jalen Brown. So this Illinois State team, you got to give them credit. Their field goal percentage defense near the tops in the country. They get after you.
Jalen Brown has 3 fouls today as Hawkins grabs the rebound. Howard also with 3 fouls for Evansville, something to watch, as the fouls haven't been as often as the first half as Howard skies for the second rebound. Drew Smith Over to his fellow freshman teammate, Javion Eve. You'll see a lot of them in the future. Gibson looking for Smith. And now they go inside to Howard. So the offense working out for Evansville.
And really nice move when you have that type of versatility on offense to give it to Howard. We saw a little left shoulder jump hook with his right hand earlier, that time with the left hand. Nice move in the lane.
Aces working their way back into this. Illinois State's at just one of its last 6 shots. Scoring drought of over 2 minutes. Evans tries to end that. Can't. Rebound to Gibson. He has Smith cross court. Looked at him briefly. Smith, the guard. Boy, he'll post up. He'll pop out. He'll make a play. Kind of unemotional. He just gets stuff done. Eves just inside 3. He's fouled.
Going back to Smith, talking about how good of a decision maker he is. Very poised out on the basketball floor.
Join us Friday, February 3rd for women's basketball action on the Valley on ESPN3 as the Bradley Braves host the Loyola Ramblers at Renaissance Coliseum in Peoria, Illinois. Coverage starts at 7 Central on the Valley on ESPN3. Here's Eves at the line. Shoots right through a sound effect. That was inadvertent.
They must have known it was good. Usually you get that when you're on the road, not at home. They must know Eves needed a bit of a distraction. He's provided really good minutes for Coach Marty Simmons. Only averages about 10 a game, but now 5 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists in a big second half.
He's played 13 minutes and misses that free throw. 5 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists for Eves. Evansville has shot just 56% from the line, 9 of 16. Lee scoops one up. And an offensive foul called against Illinois State.
And there's Eves again, making a big play, rotating over on the defensive side, getting in front of Paris Lee. And let me tell you, that is not an easy thing to do. Paris Lee is so quick with the basketball, and Eves gets there right at the right time. Great feet. Watch him. Stays outside the circle. Really good job by the freshman.
Marty Simmons sweating through that sweater vest of his. He is animated as can be. And a foul this time goes against Keyshawn Evans, and that's number 5 on Evans. So Keyshawn Evans, who has 11 points on the day, 3 of 4 from three-point range, will foul out of this game.
And boy, that's why if you're Jaylen Brown, that's why you run off screens so hard. You never know what's going to happen. You might create an opportunity for yourself to get the basketball, but you also put so much pressure on the defense. That time, Keyshawn Evans tried to stay in front of him, give him a little bit of bump. The official calls the foul. Keyshawn Evans on the bench the rest of this one.
That is the 8th foul on Illinois State this half. Evansville in the bonus, and a 1-and-1 for Brown, and he gets it to roll. He exhales after he sees that one go down. Keyshawn Evans and Illinois State in for a fight today. Lots of time and can't get the roll on that one. So a 4-point game. Illinois State has yet to lose in Valley play. Evansville with just 1 league win. Battling today against this Redbird team. Hawkins backs in. Open 3 for Wills. Got it.
Smooth.
Tony Wills hits the 3, and it's a 7-point game.
And Tom, that was right in front of us. You could see Wills, hands ready, feet ready, nice and smooth, going up and knocking that one down. A big shot from their leader.
Meanwhile, in Peoria, Wichita State has opened a 51-38 lead on Bradley with 7 minutes to go. Fain with the rebound. Here comes Lee, always with his head up, looking for options. Hawkins is one of them. 3 ball, yep. Deontay Hawkins hits it. It's a 10-point lead once again for Illinois State. That's 9 straight games for Deontay Hawkins in double figures. 18 of the last 19. Hawkins with 11 points and a 10-point lead for Illinois State.
And how about the block on one end for Hawkins off the board, and then coming over the other side, defense turning into offense. That trail spot in transition is so difficult. When you have a guy like Paris Lee who pushes the ball, the defense retreats to the paint because they don't want to give up something easy. But if you have someone like Deontay Hawkins that can trail and knock down that three, he'll get open looks like he did there. Like you said, Tom, getting into double figures.
11 points for Deontay Hawkins. Leading scorer, however, for Illinois State, he's been very impressive. Phil Fain with 16. Leading scorer for Evansville, Jalen Brown and David Howard with a dozen apiece. It has been Illinois State here in the second half, able to inch their way and go on those short bursts, a 6-0 run in 44 seconds to expand the lead to 10. Illinois State looking to go 10-0 with a game looming against Wichita State. Can't overlook the opponents coming up, including this Evansville team, and then a home game against a red-hot Northern Iowa team that's won 5 straight.
Yeah, how about that? And nobody wants to play Ben Jacobson as you get towards the end of the conference season. And even though they had their struggles, 0 for 5 to start conference play, he's got the Northern Iowa Panthers and Bennett Cook, Clint Carlson clicking on all cylinders.
That game at Wichita State on February 4th will be one of the loudest venues you've ever heard. Hawkins able to come up with the steal. And here's Paris Lee across the timeline for Illinois State. With a comfortable 10-point lead, can they make it 13? No. And the rebound goes to Evansville.
Yeah, really nice box out that time by Heine. I thought Hawkins might get that offensive rebound. Heine stayed with him, kept his hands on him, and grabbed the basketball.
Smith looks in at Heine. Now Brown tries to get it to Howard, working on Hawkins, up and under, he scores. Hawkins standing there with 2 hands up, saying, what did I do? He committed the foul, and it's an 8-point lead. Howard with a chance to make it 7. Illinois State leads on the road. Team in the league for a reason plays like this.
And even though Phil Fain has been saddled with foul trouble, has still been able to attack the basket. We see the dunk, the duck in, the left-hand finish. That time another dunk and another dunk. Phil Fain attacking the rim, ending up with 16 points, 7 rebounds so far for the Redbirds. But on the other side, Jalen Brown has come up with big buckets, attacking the rim. The athleticism off of 2 feet. And when he goes up for those mid-range jump shots, Tom, so hard to defend because of that bounce and explosiveness.
Phil Fain and Jalen Brown, our players of the game, a presentation of Aetna. Aetna invests in game-changing programs that make being healthy simpler and more convenient than ever. Get to know us at Aetna.com. Fain, 16 and 9. As my partner Adam Emenecker said, 3 fouls in the first half. He's been able to stay out of trouble here in the second half and help the Redbirds hold off this Aces team that has been very aggressive on both ends of the floor. Howard trying to complete a 3-point play to cut it to 7. And he does just that.
And Howard probably an honorable mention player of the game. That his 15th point. You called him out for not having any rebounds. He's grabbed 2 since then. Howard has done a good job on the inside against a formidable Illinois State team.
I think without Sergei Vichetik, his father tragically dying in an accident, what a job by Howard filling in for his teammate. Heavy hearts in the Evansville program as Lee is fouled. They get Heine there with the block.
And that's just the pressure Paris Lee puts on you. Because of his quickness, he can get into your body, and he's got enough length to be able to keep the ball away from you. Got into Heine's body. The officials, anytime they see that much contact on the perimeter, they're looking to call that foul.
Lee working on Heine. Stops in the lane. Wills gets it back to him. Double team on Hawkins. And they'll call a foul. And who will they get? Howard. And that will be the 4th on David Howard.
Yeah, it looks like they called David Howard for extending too much, not keeping that verticality as he was trapped. A really tough spot for that foul as they bailed Hawkins out.
Closing in on 3 minutes, 7-point lead. Each possession so important. And now a foul is called against Illinois State, and they'll get Hawkins, and that's his 4th. So 4 fouls now for Wills, Hawkins, and Injai.
Good defense that time by Heine, staying low. They really teach you at Evansville. Marty Simmons does a great job playing without your hands, using your legs, using leverage, getting underneath the offensive player. And because Heine was in such a good spot, Deontay Hawkins had to use his upper body. That's what the officials see and where they start to call those fouls.
Shot clock at 10. Good perimeter defense by Illinois State following the ball, and Eves is fouled on the drive. And they'll get Fain with that one, and that's his 4th. So Phil Fain, leading scorer for Illinois State. So again, 4 fouls now on 4 different Redbirds, and 1 out. Keyshawn Evans fouled out earlier.
And a little bit of a bailout as the shot clock was winding down. You mentioned it, Tom. Really good perimeter defense as Evansville couldn't get the basketball below the free throw line. The officials call that little bump on the outside, sending Eves to the free throw line.
Eves unable to connect there, and they've closed within 6. Evansville's been hurt by free throw shooting. 57%, 12 for 21 from the line. Those 9 misses crucial as it's a 6-point lead for Illinois State and the ball. 2.5 minutes to go. Lee attacks, blocked by Heine. And here's Eves, has Heine on his left, and instead he'll back it out. They'll set the offense. Smith to Brown, who tries to get his players to move. They need points. They reverse it to Smith. Toss inside, stolen by Wills. Up ahead to Lee. And around the rim and scoring as Heine was closing in. Paris Lee with the right hand.
And another big play by Wills. We saw him knock down a 3 earlier when Illinois State was reeling just a little bit. Now on the defensive side, making a big play to get a couple points for his team.
Howard lost it for a moment. Hawkins and Fain on him. And they're going to call a foul, I believe, on Hawkins. And they do, and Hawkins is done for the day.
And we see the steal, the knife in. Good job by Wills, using his background as a defensive back, getting in there for the interception. And the nice touch pass. You know, that's a tough thing to do. You have a guy out in front running. You don't want to throw it too far to make him catch it too close to the rim, but you also slow him down if you force him to take a dribble. Nice pass by Wills, and a beautiful finish by Lee.
They play Michael Jackson's Beat It as Deontay Hawkins fouls out of the game to embraces from his teammates. What a second half he had. Hawkins with 11 points in the second half. And Illinois State with an 8-point lead. Here's Howard back to the line. He's had a heck of a day. 15 points for David Howard. Make it 16. And showing some improvement at the line. He's now 4 of 5 from the line. And Howard is a 48% free throw shooter, and he's had one terrific day. Only made 13 all season from the line coming into today. He's hit 4 and can't get that one.
And he's had a couple good games now, coming off a UNI game where he had, last year against UNI, 11 points, 8 rebounds. So this David Howard definitely capable and really putting it together today.
But again, Evansville has missed 10 free throws, 13 of 23, and that has hurt the Aces for sure. Now a foul is called. They're going to get Brown. That'll be his 4th. 4 fouls on Jalen Brown with 1:20 to go, and Illinois State trying to close this game out.
Now getting a lot of whistles going back and forth on each side. Neither coach happy.
Wills knocks down, or Lee rather, knocks down the free throw. And you see the schedule. Northern Iowa, we talked about that tough matchup that they'll have against a hot team, but then talk about tough at Wichita State on Saturday night on ESPN2. You'll want to be tuned into that. What a battle that will be. And they'll all be wearing yellow in Wichita. The three hit by Jalen Brown cuts it to 6 as we close in on a minute. Big three there by Jalen.
A little bit of full court pressure here, trying to speed up the game, try to limit the number of possessions, looking for a steal, getting the foul at half court.
In Evansville's next couple of games, the Aces go to Indiana State, then come back here and play the Bears. Interesting team for Paul Luss. They've been up and down, very talented. Still at 5-5, just haven't been able to get any traction. Clayton is able to hit the free throw, and a big one there. Clayton is 6 of 7 from the line. 8 points for DJ Clayton. Next one is good, and it is Illinois State now by 8. Free throws big down the stretch, and for Illinois State, the Redbirds have hit 16 of 22 for 73%. That's been a huge difference.
Yeah, it absolutely has been attacking and getting to the rim, something usually we see Jalen Brown do with regularity. And now Coach Dan Muller, calling a timeout, wants to chat with his team about, listen, guys, we got just under a minute to go. We have an 8-point lead, which means we're in no rush. Let's not commit any silly fouls. Let's make sure we're strong with the basketball. We know if they score, Evansville's going to put on a little bit of pressure. Be strong with it. Use your outlet passes, and know that you have 2 timeouts left.
Final score in Peoria, Wichita State beats Bradley 64-49. Greg Marshall's team was down 25-20 at the half. Bradley had the lead. Wichita State outscores the Braves 44-24 in the second half and wins it 64-49.
They just wear you down, don't they?
They are just ferocious defensively. That'll be the matchup for Illinois State on Saturday. Jalen Brown with the miss. The rebound for Wills. He runs around with it and gets it to Lee. As Illinois State tries to lock this game up, Brown fouls Paris Lee, and that'll be it for Jalen Brown. The last gasp effort here by Evansville, but 5 fouls on Jalen Brown, so if they were counting on any desperation threes here late in the game, they won't be getting them from Brown. And Illinois State great at the line, and Lee will go back to it.
How about the quickness of Paris Lee breaking that press? He caught the basketball under his own basket with 2 guys on him. He dribbles through 4 guys and stayed under control the entire time before right in front of us, Tom, in the front court, getting nicked with that foul there. But a great overall floor game from Paris Lee, now knocking in, so he's got to his average in points, just over 13, 6 assists, a couple steals. So we haven't called his name a ton, but he's had a really good floor game.
And I know we've mentioned it a few times today, but again, Illinois State holds a player 5 points under his average.
Yep.
20.6 for Jalen Brown. He finishes the day with 15. The 3 for Eves, no. Will's able to get a hand on it, holds it, and he's fouled, and now Illinois State can smell it up by 10 with 32.6 on the clock.
And Wills, the second time in a row, after Evansville hoists up a 3, looking for an offensive rebound on the miss, Wills is the one that's there and clears the defensive glass. That's why Coach Dan Muller loves this guy so much, because of his toughness, and he always steps up and makes big plays for his team.
The miss by Wills. That'll put Illinois State just under 75% from the free throw line today. Wills misses them both. Drew Smith. I'll tell you, Marty Simmons is going to have some talented players coming back. There are 2 of them, Smith and Eves. Clayton grabs a rebound. He's been great today. Toss across the court to Lee. And Illinois State's going to try to dribble this thing out. The Redbirds have done it again. They go into an opposing gym and get a win, and for the 10th straight game, they go into the win column in the Missouri Valley Conference. The Illinois State Redbirds are 10-0 in Valley play. They get the win here at Evansville, 69-59. Very impressive. Dan Muller's team goes home, plays Northern Iowa. What a fight that'll be, and then the trip to Wichita State.
And just gutting out a win. Give a lot of credit to Evansville and Coach Marty Simmons. After getting down big early, they just kept coming, kept battling back, made this one a ball game. But Illinois State, a little bit too much tonight.
That's Adam Emmenecker, the 2008 Larry Bird Trophy recipient. I'm Tom Ackerman. We say so long from Evansville, Indiana, where Illinois State gets the win and goes 10-0 in Valley Play, beating Evansville by 10. To watch this entire game on replay, as well as other games on our family of ESPN networks, log on to watchespn.com.